Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of 31 Days of Wisdom. I'm Mr. Brown. Today is January 14, 2014. So today we're on Proverbs chapter 14. For those of you who are just joining us for this journey, don't feel bad. You can go back and read the other ones on each day of the month. But today is the 14th day of January, so we're reading Proverbs chapter 14. And I tried, y'all. I tried my best to pick a few verses. And the good thing, or the bad thing, trying to look at it, about Proverbs is it's not like exegetical in a sense. It's not like paragraph by paragraph, like he's working through thoughts. It seems like sometimes he clunks a few thoughts together. Sometimes he just says something and boom, there it is. And so I picked 5. I tried to limit it to less than that, but 5 is the minimum I'm going to talk about. So I'm going to try to cover 5 verses today in detail. So I'm going to try to break them up little by little so you can track with me. So like be a break or a pause. Maybe I put some transitional music in between each thought so we can kind of track together on these thoughts, okay? So let me read the text devotion first that went out today. The text devotion said this. Let me look at my phone. I can just look at my phone and read the text message right from my phone because I get it sent to myself too. So I know it went out. It said this: Walkie or Talkie. Our walk says more about our relationship with God than our talk. Proverbs 14:2. Hashtag 31 Days of Wisdom. And again, if you'd like to receive the text devotion, just go to proclaimministries.com and click on the connect button. Again, proclaimministries.com, click on the connect button, or you can go to proclaimministries.com and click on the resource button. It's listed in 2 places, or just go to proclaimministries.com/text and text, and you can sign up right there. But so the first thing I'm talking about in chapter 2 is Walkie or Talkie. In chapter 4, easy doesn't mean better. Then I'm going to talk about chapter 12, which says the right wrong person. Then verse 15, which says, did you believe that infomercial? Really? And then the last thing, number 5, I'm talking about verse 23, which says guaranteed way to be broke. Yes, today on 31 Days of Wisdom, I'm going to give you a guaranteed way to be broke, to have no money, to be in poverty. Guaranteed. Promise. So, with that said, let's get into day 14 of our journey through the book of Proverbs wait, I said that right. Join us. No, let's get going. Let's just start. Proverbs 14. Here we go. Okay, are you a walkie or a talkie? What I meant by that, let me read the verse to you first. Proverbs 14 verse 2 says, whoever walks in uprightness fears the Lord, but who is devious in his ways despises him. Now, this verse says, whoever walks in uprightness fears the Lord. Whoever walks in a certain way, who lives in righteous uprightness, there's definitely evident that they fear the Lord, that they have a reverence for the Lord, that they are not just saying the guy in the sky, but they understand and they're practicing the presence of God. He says, whoever walks in rightness. So your walk is more valuable or says more than your talk. I wrote this down as well. That how we live says a lot more about what we believe about God than what we say. It's easy to say, oh, I love God, he's my man, but how are you living? And not only among other people, but how are you living in private? What kind of things do, you don't do? What are your thoughts like? Now, no one's thoughts are perfect. None of us are at a place where we can say we never have evil thoughts. But there's a difference between evil thoughts and thinking evil, because evil thoughts can come. We watch enough television, we hang around people that thoughts can come, but do we grab onto that thought and do we meditate on that thought? Do we take it further? And even more than our thoughts, does it move down into the way we believe and the way we act? So the way we live, and this instance he's using the word walk is to convey the way we live. Whoever walks or lives in uprightness, he is evident that he fears the Lord. But he who is devious in his ways despises him. So the Proverbs here, he kind of gives you a choice. Either you love the Lord or you hate the Lord. You either are walking in fear of him or you despise him. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And how that shows up is in how we live each day. And some people kick back right away. Well, no one's perfect. No one asked you to be perfect. I love to put it this way. It's not about perfection, but direction. It's not about being perfect, but direction. Kind of like riding a bike when you're growing up. When you first start riding a bike, if you hit a curb, or not a curb, but if you hit like a rock or something, your steering wheel would kind of veer to the right or to the left. Would you stay in that direction? No, because there's a big old tree you go run into. So you correct it. But you were headed in a certain direction. And I believe those who fear the Lord, who have a reverence for him, they are walking in a certain direction. They are following after the Lord. That's why I love when the Bible calls us followers of Christ, because we're following after him. It's not about being perfect. Again, it's about our direction. So whoever walks in uprightness fears the Lord, but he who is devious, who's dirty, who's evil, who's doing his own thing in his ways and the way he lives, despises him. So the question is for you, are you a walkie or just a talkie? Are you one who's walking with the Lord and making that your direction in life? Or are you just simply a talker where you just talk about it and, you can say a lot of platitudes about the Lord and a lot of things about getting your praise on or having church up in her, those kind of things. I'm not putting anybody down, but I'm saying there's a difference between the way we walk and where we live our lives and the way that we talk. Whoever walks, lives in uprightness. It is evidence, it is clear that he fears the Lord. But he who is devious, dirty, underhanded in his ways despises him. Think about that. All right, jump down to verse 4. Easy doesn't always mean better. Look at what it says in verse 4. Where there are no oxen, the manger is clean, but abundant crops come by the strength of the ox. Now that's kind of a difficult thing and you think about it, but it's very practical. So in other words, if you don't have any ox, your manger where you keep all the food and stuff for farming would be clean, pristine, beautiful. But when you have a lot of crops, because of the ox, stuff gonna be dirty. So just because stuff isn't always easy, or when things are easy, doesn't make it mean better. I also wrote my notes this. I said, life would be easy without people. If there weren't people in our lives messing up our schedules, messing up all the stuff that we want to do, life would be so much easier. But you know what? It would be boring. It would be empty because there would be no one around to share it with. So we have to really balance what we want to be easy and perfect with what is best and what we can get rewards out of. I also wrote this down. Return on investment, or ROI, they say in the financial world. You make an investment, you get a return. So you invest in a company like Walmart, and you hopefully get a return on your investment. Well, in the same way with this proverb, he's saying, yes, things might get a little bit messy, but you need to invest. And when you make that investment, you get a return on your investment. So the oxen is the way they would crop and plow the fields. And though you would have to feed that ox, you'd have to clean up after that ox. So your manger would probably be dirty because you'd have to feed him in there. You have to clean up his poop in there, all kinds of things. But the benefit outweighs the investment of work. In our culture, sometimes we're lazy. We don't want to work. We want everything to come easy. We want all of our stuff to be perfect. And that's not how life really works. We have to make the investment. Put it this way. If you want a return, you have to make an investment. Even deeper than that. You can only have a valuable return if you make a valuable investment. So if you don't put anything into what you're involved with, you're not going to get anything out of it. And that includes our relationships, going to church, our job, our schooling. It takes an investment. But we're afraid at times because it can get messy. We can get messy. And so I wrote down 3 things that I really think we ought to think about when it talks about making this investment or being worried about things being clean and perfect. It goes this way. Number 1, at work or at school. Many of you go to school, you're still in school, some of you have jobs, but you need to make an investment in your own education, make an investment in your job if you want a return. I remember speaking at this event where it was students who had dropped out of school and they were going through getting their GED, but they had jobs through this program. And when I got there, I was setting up my things, and I overheard them complaining about being a fry girl at McDonald's. Like one of the girls was talking to another girl about, they got me doing fries. Nobody want to do no fries. And I thought to myself, if you just show up to work at McDonald's, you go get a promotion, first of all. Number 2, if you are the fry girl, be the best fry girl they ever seen in their entire lives. You make the investment, and you will get a return. But if you sit there and complain and just pout about having a job, first of all, and then being what you call a low man on a totem pole, so to speak, you'll never get anywhere. You'll never get anywhere. You never go anywhere. So make the investment at work, at school. Apply yourself. Yes, it will get messy. Yes, it will get hard. But if you don't invest anything valuable, there's no way you can get anything out valuable. So make the investment. Get a return on your investment. Also, in relationships, Make the investment in your relationships. I teach a thing called the 100% rule, that we need to give 100% in our relationships. We don't need to live in an area where we say, well, if they do, then I'll do, because they're changing you. So if you're not willing to give 100% in your relationships, what are you really doing? You're saying to yourself, well, if they give 100%, then I'll give 100%. Well, they give 50, I give 50. Listen, I got married 4 years ago, and I understand clearly that no relationship, a successful one, can't be 50-50. It's got to be 100-100, that you give your all, regardless of what the other person may or may not do. Yes, you put yourself at risk, but you're making an investment. And yes, it may get messy, but will it be worth it? Will it be worth it? A couple Bible verses in Proverbs, verses that talks about this kind of friendship making investments as this. Proverbs 27:17. Iron sharpens iron, so another man sharpens another. That as you invest, yes, you're going to cause some friction, but you're becoming sharper together because you made the investment. Look at Proverbs 27. I'm going to turn there real quick. 27, verses 5 and 6. Says this: better is open rebuke than hidden love. Faithful are the wounds of a friend. Profuse are the kisses of an enemy. When you're really making an investment in a friendship, you got to be willing to tell them when they're wrong, to rebuke them in a sense. And also to be able to, the faithful are the wounds of a friend, that you're willing to speak the truth even though it may hurt your friend. Because are you really a true friend when you let your friend go down the wrong path? There was an old ad campaign that said, friends don't let friends drink and drive. Well, friends don't let friends ruin their lives either. If you're really my friend and you see I'm doing something wrong, you would speak up, because I would appreciate that. I might not appreciate it in the moment, but long term to say, you know what, you have my back. You were speaking up for me. And we have to be willing to do that. Give 100%. Give 100% in our relationships. And here's a question I ask a lot of workshops I teach is this. There was some point in your life where somebody gave 100% to you when you didn't have the capacity to give 100% back. You didn't have the capacity, you didn't have the willingness, but somebody, it could have been mom, a sister, a friend, that someone gave you 100%. They made the investment in you, even when you didn't want to make an investment back. And now you're in a place where I believe you should be able to give that investment to someone else. So the verse was kind of talking about farming, but I want to apply it to our own lives. Where there are no oxen, the manger is clean. Ooh, it's beautiful. Ain't nobody in there. But abundance of crop comes by the strength of the ox. So by having an ox there, you got to feed him. You got to clean up his poop. You got to do all this stuff. But at the same time, without him, you don't have anything. So in the same way, in your relationships, in your job, in everything you do, be willing to make the investment, even though it can get messy. Oh, we're making some progress here. Let's talk about verse number 12. Verse 12, I wrote down the right wrong person. Verse 12 says this: there's a way that seems right to a man, but its end is the way to death. There's a way that seems right to man, but the end is the way of death. Have you ever just knew you were right about something, and you maybe had a debate or an argument with someone, and you were saying your point, this is right, but then to come find out you were wrong, and you had to swallow a whole bunch of pride? Well, I think that's what this verse is saying. Sometimes we think we're so right, but we're really wrong. We're heading down the wrong direction. Kind of reminds me of a commercial a few years ago that these two guys were on the phone together, and they were debating about when some record came out. And the guy said, it came out in 1973, it came out in the other guy, no, 1975, whatever. And so the guy who was saying 1973 actually looked on his phone while he was on the phone, looked it up on the internet, and it was found out that it was 1975. So then all of a sudden, the connection got bad. He got disconnected. But he had to come to a point where he understood he was wrong. Now, I'm not saying every time you have a thought that you're wrong, but it's always good to get advice about it, always to bounce it off somebody else, to get some other views, because sometimes we can think we're so right about something and be so wrong, and sometimes we can hurt a lot of people. So let me give you two things to do. Number one, seek advice from wise people. Get another view. Even if it turns out that your view was correct, it's still good to get another viewpoint, because what if you're wrong? And also, if you're open to get another viewpoint of something, it could prove that you're right, and it gives you more confidence to move forward in this decision because you saw it from some other point of view. Number two, give people space to speak into your life. Sometimes we live so close that we don't give people space to even speaking. So even if you're not seeking advice, just leave room for people to say something to you about your decisions, about the direction of life you're going. Because I would much rather be proven wrong than head down the wrong direction where it says its end is death, or it will be bad for you. Because sometimes we get messed up in our own head and we think everything we're doing is right. They call them blind spots, and we all can have them at many times in our life. So make sure, number one, you get advice from people and you leave space for people to speak into your life, because believe me, you don't want to be the wrong person. The person who thinks they're right all the time, but they're really wrong. Let's move on to verse 15. Did you believe that infomercial? Infomercials are hilarious to me. And don't get me wrong, I've bought some of the Abs by Jake, not that one particularly, but you watch there, you sit there and you watch these people work out and they're selling you the dream. One of my favorites is this, the belt, the ab belt, where they promote you. If you wear this belt so many times a day, the vibrations will make your muscles do this, and you'll have the 6-pack abs, and you see the guy standing there who's got this beach body, he's cut up, ripped, and they're trying to tell me that dude, all he did was wear this belt and he looked like that? No. But why do we believe this stuff? Why do we buy these products and just fall for it? And this is what I wrote down. This may be why we do it. Why are we so gullible? We want stuff so bad that we are willing to believe it, but do we really believe it? Or do we believe in the belief that it's possible? So I think we buy the dream so much that we want it to be so true. We want it to be true. We really, really want it to be true. And we don't want to work either. We want to figure, hey, it's an easy way to get it. This guy got it. Look at him. I'm going to get it. And if you watch those commercials, they really don't spend a lot of time telling you about the product. They feed you the dream. They feed you that if you do this, this will happen to you and you can have this. And it doesn't add up. Another one of my favorites is the body shapers, where they have all these women. I don't have many men on the commercial, but they have these women who get these body shapers and they put them on. They show before, after, and then they say, oh, she's lost 4 pounds, or she's lost 3 inches in her waist. No, she did. She just sucked it all in. There's got to be something wrong with that somewhere. But the reality is, do you really believe those infomercials? Because they really don't work. So the verse that he says here in verse 15 that I got this idea from was this: the simple believes everything, but the prudent gives thought to his steps. The simple, the naive, believes everything, but the prudent gives thought to his steps. So are you simple-minded where you believe everything? Or are you willing to do the research, to know some things, to focus more and be prudent and give thought to your steps? Not just going with the crowd, going what everyone else does, because that will lead you in a very, very difficult place. Don't just believe everybody else. Stand up for what you believe in, move forward with confidence, but you can't simply believe the infomercials, the half-truths. I wrote this down as well. Think about it. I always teach what I call my 3-choice matrix, or 3-point matrix. It goes like this: know, think, and choose. When you have a choice to make in life, you got to know the information. You have to think about the information. Think about how it will affect you now, later in the future. How this choice you're going to make, based on the knowledge you know of this situation, how it's going to affect you now, later, and in your future, like way down the line. And then you simply have to choose. So don't be simple-minded and believe everything, but be wise and give thought to your steps. That makes sense? Say, oh yeah. Let's move on to the last one, verse 23, which says this. What I wrote down was guaranteed way to be broke. Verse 23, he says this: in all toil or labor, depends on version you say, what version you're reading, in all toil or labor, there's profit, but mere talk tends only to poverty. Here's a guaranteed way to be broke for the rest of your life: simply talk and do nothing. At some point, we got to just shut up and get to work. And you know what? This verse kind of stuck out to me because I'm a dreamer. I'm a visionary. I get all these ideas about stuff. And sometimes if I get into a room with someone else who's just like me, oh, we can talk for hours about how awesome this would be, great ideas. But guess when we leave the room, we don't do nothing. We felt like we've done the work because we talked about it. But in here he says, in all labor there is profit, but mere talk tends only to poverty. Let's talk about the work. Sometimes we don't like to work because we don't understand that work profits more than just money. When you work, you get green and you get growth, hopefully. Hopefully you get paid, But even if you don't, you're still getting paid. If you don't get paid monetarily, you're still getting paid from work, because work helps you develop character, discipline, a work ethic, which will help you out long term. I remember talking to a student who was too young to actually have a summer job, but he wanted to work. And I said, hey, why don't you try to find, what do you like? He likes landscaping. I said, why don't you try to find a company that does landscaping and asking you volunteer? Asking volunteer, because what will you get? You'll get the skills, the ability to one day either A, start your own business, B, go work for somebody when you're legal age, you can get a job, but you can volunteer and learn. See, in all work, there is profit. You get something from it. It's not just the issue of getting money. It is the issue of growing. When we grew up, we didn't get money for our chores, but we learned how to work hard, how to meet expectations, how to obey a boss, even though it was my mom or grandparents. But we learned those things, and there was much value in that. But mere talkers, people who simply just talk about what they're going to do and how they're going to do it, they'll be broke. So the question for you is, and the question for me, will we be people who will work hard, work because all we do, we work as unto the Lord? Because empty talkers equals empty pockets. Your empty talk leads to empty pockets. You can't make a lot. You can't make a living on simply talking about what you're going to do, but you need to do it. And that's part of where this 31 Days of Wisdom came from. I've been talking a lot about doing series, and I got all these ideas for series. And right before the year started, I was reading Proverbs. I'm like, you know what? I should go ahead and do it. And all the audio wasn't perfect. All the video didn't work out perfect, but I'm getting it done. And I think this is a testament to this verse. It's good to talk about stuff, but as I work about it, I want to work and make it better and better and better. So think about that as you apply yourself to work. In all labor there is profit, but mere talk tends only to poverty. Thanks so much for joining us for this 31 Days of Wisdom, a journey through the book of Proverbs. This was Proverbs chapter 14. And again, I'd love to hear from you, get some insight from you. I got an email from somebody who sent me a whole paragraph, and I'm actually going to post it on my website about what they had to say about Proverbs 14. But if you got any thoughts, even if you want to jump ahead and go to a future chapter, you got some ideas, I would love to hear from you to join the conversation as we take this journey on 31 Days of Wisdom, a journey through the book of Proverbs. So thanks again, and I won't see you, but you'll see me if you watch the video. But you're also going to listen online to the podcast for our next episode, 31 Days of Wisdom, a journey through the book of Proverbs.